things go on. Okay, খুব lucid ভাবে, খুব simple ভাবে পড়ানো হবে. And any query or any questions, you please feel free to type it in our group so that we can answer. Okay, we would be starting with the cardiovascular system. We were waiting, but probably that won't be happening. So we would be, with small steps, we would start with the cardiovascular system. So the first portion that we would be taking up, that is drugs affecting the renin-angiotensin system. Surojit, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম, শোনা যাচ্ছে।
Okay. So if you all are quite acquainted with the renin-angiotensin, that is the RAS system. You have learned in physiology তে পড়েছো তোমরা। এবার আমরা এটা pharmacology on the perspective of how the drugs are manipulated on the RAS system to be more beneficial, সেটা আমরা দেখব। Okay, to be in a gist, components of renin-angiotensin system, it starts with the angiotensinogen, which goes and changes into a decapeptide, that is angiotensin 1, followed by a more fragmentation to angiotensin 2, then 3, then 4, and lastly to inactive fragments. Angiotensinogen, among all, is the more bulkier peptide, and gradually it is being broken down into inactive fragments. Okay, the whole process, we all know, the rate limiting step of this from angiotensinogen to inactive fragment is the renin. And among all these things, the most potent or the most effective one is angiotensin 2. You would be probably not knowing that if I ask you the most potent vasopressor agent in our body is, if I ask you, probably 50% of you would be saying it is noradrenaline. But it is angiotensin. The most potent vasopressor agent in our body is angiotensin, not noradrenaline. Okay, so renin being the rate limiting step of the angiotensinogen conversion to angiotensin 1 to angiotensin followed by 3, 4, and inactive fragments. To be in a more lucid way, that was a lucid way. Here we can see angiotensin, it is being acted upon by renin and it is being changed into a decapeptide, that is angiotensin 1. Okay, followed by it is changing into angiotensin 2. And this AP is called as aminopeptidase. These aminopeptidase breaks down the angiotensin 2 to angiotensin 3 and followed by angiotensin 4. And then they are being broken down by angiotensinase by 84 by inactive fragments. These things are the receptors on which they are acting. We would be later taking on what receptor which one is acting. But till now, you just remember angiotensinogen, it gets converted to angiotensin 1, from angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, then to 3, and then to 4, and then to inactive fragment. Among all these, the angiotensin 2 is the most potent vasopressor or the most effective or the turning point or whatever you can say autocoid that is being acting upon. And the rate limiting step is renin. Okay. So to have a gist, the most active angiotensin peptide is angiotensin 2. And the major determinant of angiotensin 2 generation is renin secretion. We all know renin is synthesized from the JG cells as pre-prorenin. It is not secreted as like a renin. Pre-prorenin is a much bulkier molecule than that of the renin. It gets gradually.
ম্যাম বলছি অনেকে মানে এন্টার করতে চাইছে বাট টাইমড আউট বলছে, আর কি তারা ঢুকতে পারবে না?
ওকে, লেট মি চেক, আমি দেখছি, দাঁড়াও। we were talking about, the new students, we were talking about the conversion from angiotensinogen to inactive fragments. We talked about angiotensin 2 as the most potent vasopressor agent in our body and is the most potent angiotensin among all this. And renin being the major determinant or the rate limiting step. Good morning, sir. Rate limiting step of angiotensin 2 generation. So concentration of renin is synthesized from the JG cell as pre-prorenin. The pre-prorenin, what it is a much bulkier molecule than that of renin. Renin doesn't get secreted like that as we see. Okay, this pre-prorenin gets broken down into prorenin and then followed by renin, which is actually getting acted upon. Till now, we were thinking, or traditionally it was thought that except renin, be it prorenin or a pre-prorenin, all are inactive or inert biomolecular cells. But right now, recent studies have concluded that prorenin and renin both are having an equal part in the pathogenesis of the formations of the cardiovascular pathologies. So now if we are thinking concentration of circulation, till now we were thinking that renin were much more than pre or prorenin. But actually prorenin is 5 to 10 times much more than that of the renin. What we have seen in the earlier slide, this is only it is not a local, it is the circulating renin angiotensin system what we are seeing. That is from the angiotensinogen via with the help of renin, it gets converted to different angiotensins. But apart from that, RAS also has some trophic activity in the cells because angiotensin is basically a autocoid. Means what? They get secreted and they act upon the nearby cells. Not like a hormone where it is getting secreted from one portion of or a tissue and it is getting circulated and it is actually acting on a distant location. So a local RAS is also getting acted upon, and this local RAS is basically mechanized by the tissue or the cell itself. If the tissue needs or the cell needs some trophic action or some metabolic action, it generates its own angiotensins and renin, and thus it produces whether it be it a hypertrophy or a apoptosis or any proliferative changes. Okay, so we have to keep in mind that RAS is not only the circulating what we are thinking upon, a local RAS which is equally important, and right now which is a major determinant of the pathophysiological changes that is happening in the heart is right now probably due to the local RAS. This is one such hypothesis that is coming upon. Now, how the regulation of renin? To be in a very short, you all have read this in your physiology, right? So I won't be going in details. I would be just pointing or touching out the salient points which would be required for the drugs to know. আমি কিছু জনকে অ্যাডাপ্ট করে নি সুরজিৎ? হ্যালো হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম করে নিন। হ্যাঁ ম্যাম।
টোয়েন্টি মিনিটস ওভার হয়ে গেছে, 20-25 মিনিটস।
গুগল মিট
গুগল মিট
কতজন এসেছে?
99 চলছে।
আমার কোনো অসুবিধা হচ্ছে না। চলো কন্টিনিউ করো।
So how renin is getting regulated? Okay. The secretion of renin is due to some stimulations, and these stimulations come when there is a low blood pressure. We all know a low blood pressure or a reduced arterial pressure, to be more precise, is the chief operating of operations for regulation of renin. They are a baroreceptor mechanism which is present in the afferent arteriole, which senses the change of the renal perfusion pressure. If the pressure in the afferent arteriole is reduced, then it automatically, the baroreceptor senses it and goes for a synthesis and a secretion of renin. That goes for one mechanism. The second mechanism is the changes in the delivery of sodium chloride in the macular densa cells of the distal tubule. More and more sodium inside would be reducing the renin secretion. If there is a reduced renin sodium, if the macular densa cell senses it, then a secretion of renin goes to increased level. The third one is stimulation of beta adrenoreceptor on the JG cells by norepinephrine and PGI2. Apart from all these things, all the three, the renin, as it is acting upon the angiotensin and it's forming angiotensin 2, this angiotensin has itself got a negative feedback. And this feedback goes by a two mechanism. One is a long loop and second one is the short loop. Long loop is if more and more angiotensin 2 is getting secreted, that means the blood pressure is on a higher level. This higher level eventually would be going for a negative feedback for a reduced secretion of renin. While the short loop is angiotensin 2 would be directly acting on the angiotensin 1 receptor, AT1 receptor, and this AT1 receptor directly has got a negative action on the secretion, synthesis and the release of renin. Got it? সুরজিৎ বোঝা যাচ্ছে তো? Hello?
ঠিক আছে। হ্যাঁ ম্যাম ঠিক আছে।
Okay. Now, apart from this, there are some drugs which also influence of renin release. If you think, if you work for vasodilators and diuretics, what a vasodilator do? It dilates the vessels. If the vessels get dilated, the arterial blood pressure would be decreased. If the blood pressure gets decreased, the baroreceptor senses this, and what it would be doing? It would be increasing the renin secretion. Same happens with the diuretics. What does diuretics do? Sodium and chloride gets secreted. Apart from that, the diuretics also has got a vasodilator property. This vasodilator property, like that of the vasodilators, is also acting through the baroreceptor mechanism, and it increases the renin release. Next, we have the angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, ACEI in short, and the angiotensin 1 antagonist, that is the receptor antagonist. As you know, they would be directly inhibiting the renin release by their property. The loop diuretics, which is famous or for its, it is very much known that it decreases the sodium. On its use, it decreases the sodium, unlike that of the other diuretics. So this low sodium is sensed in the macular densa cells, and that would be increasing the renin secretion. The fourth one is the central sympatholytic and beta blockers. If I use a beta blocker or a central sympatholytic, that would be directly inhibiting the renin release. And same happens with the NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and the COX-2 inhibitors. How? Because they would be inhibiting the prostaglandin synthesis. And this prostaglandin is in return decreasing the renin release. Okay? Now, as we have discussed, that prorenin, traditionally, prorenin was thought to be a very inactive type of molecule. But right now, renin and prorenin is equally given importance. Okay. And both prorenin and renin bind to a prorenin receptor that is called as PRR. So renin, it is being synthesized in the JG cells and in tissue, both is as local RAS. Prorenin is getting activated both enzymatically and non-enzymatically. This prorenin, if it is an inert until and unless it is being activated. And this activation needs some enzymatically mediated thing, some features, and it can also be activated by non-enzymatically. Let's see a diagram over here. If you follow the first one, this is a prorenin molecule. And what is this black one? This is a propeptide. It is acting as a lock on this prorenin. Until and unless I remove the lock from the prorenin, the angiotensin
ম্যাম
cannot
কথা
go
কেটে কেটে যাচ্ছে ম্যাম। হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ, শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম এবার শোনা যাচ্ছে।
Okay, if you notice the first picture, the first picture is a picture of prorenin molecule. The black portion is like a lock, that is a propeptide that acts as a lock on the prorenin molecule. The active enzymatic site, this crest is the active enzymatic site, and this is being covered by a propeptide. Until and unless this propeptide is removed, the angiotensinogen cannot get inside and renin can't act. Got it? So if I have to activate this prorenin, so a PRR, that is the prorenin receptor, comes in. And this prorenin, when it gets attached to the prorenin receptor, the propeptide automatically opens up the cleavage, and this goes the angiotensinogen, and it is getting converted to angiotensin 1. So this is a non-proteolytic activation. There is no need or no action of any protease enzyme, and this is completely reversible. Once the action has been over, the prorenin gets dissociated from the prorenin receptor without any changes. Right? So this is a reversible type of activation of prorenin. While if we are talking about a proteolytic activation, here this is a renin molecule, prorenin, and this is a propeptide. This propeptide, once it is getting cleaved by a proteolytic enzyme called as cathepsin B. Cathepsin B, this is a proteolytic enzyme that is cleaving the propeptide, which is acting as a lock on the prorenin. Once this propeptide detaches itself from the prorenin, this is shifting itself or getting converted from prorenin to renin. And now the catalytic site or the cleavage is open up for the angiotensinogen to being acted upon and getting converted to angiotensin 1. Okay. This is Alice Kiran. You need not know right now. We would be talking about it later on. This is a drug, right, which is a direct inhibitor of renin. But this is just a picture. We would be talking about this drug later on. এটা বোঝা গেছে সুরজিৎ?
ঠিক আছে
Shall I repeat once more? একবার রিপিট করব কি?
ম্যাম রিপিট করুন একবার।
ওকে।
ম্যাম মাঝে মাঝে এটা অফ হয়ে যাচ্ছে আপনার, মানে মেবি হয়তো
নেটের কানেকশন,
মেবি এটা প্রজেক্ট প্রেজেন্টেশনটা মাঝে মাঝে অফ হয়ে যাচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ এখন দেখা যাচ্ছে।
না না প্রেজেন্টেশন তো অফ হয়নি, তাহলে আমরা তো দেখতে পেলাম গোটাটা।
তাহলে হয়তো
রনিত শুড আই রিপিট ওয়ান্স মোর? আরেকবার রিপিট করব এটা কি?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম একবার রিপিট করুন, মাঝে কেটে যাচ্ছিল কথাগুলো।
ওকে। is a prorenin molecule. Okay. I'm getting it very slow. This is a prorenin molecule. This is, am I saying prorenin because it has got a lock which is basically a propeptide that is being attached. The black fragment on the top of this prorenin molecule is a propeptide. It is basically acting as a lock for this molecule. Until and unless I lift the lock, the angiotensinogen cannot get into the catalytic site and being acted upon. So first we would be talking about a non-proteolytic activation where we don't need any enzymes for this prorenin to get activated. Now how this can be done? If this prorenin gets attached to a prorenin receptor, that is PRR, then automatically the propeptide acting as a lock just changes its position. It doesn't get detached, it just changes or shifts its position and opens up the catalytic cleavage where the angiotensinogen comes up and converted to angiotensin 1. And this is reversible. Once this prorenin gets dissociated from the prorenin receptor, the whole thing goes back to its, again, the normal position. So this is a reversible type of activation. If we are talking about a enzymatic activation, there we need to cleave this propeptide from the prorenin. And this cleavage is done by an enzyme called as cathepsin B. And once this is getting detached or being cleaved from the prorenin, this portion is changes itself. This is renin. It converts itself to renin. And this catalytic site is once again open for its action. Okay. Now there are this prorenin receptor. Only if we are talking about prorenin receptor, we don't need this prorenin receptor in the enzymatic activation. We just only need prorenin receptor for non-proteolytic activation of prorenin. Is it the only mechanism that it is having? No. Apart from that, this prorenin is acting via the prorenin receptor by two mechanisms. One, by a non-proteolytic activation of prorenin, and thus its local tissue angiotensin 2 production gets increased. We have talked about the tissue RAS or the renin-angiotensin tissue system that is getting operated in the tissue level or the local level. This local level RAS system is getting operated basically by the prorenin and the prorenin receptor and not by the renin itself. And this is leading to the formation of the transcription growth factors, the plasminogen activators, and all these factors which would be later on leading to fibrosis, inflammation, and all the pathophysiology changes. This is one portion. But without this, the prorenin receptor itself, even when it gets bind to a ligand, it goes for activation of intracellular signaling. And this goes for an effects in independent angiotensin 2 production. It doesn't need any stimulus or anything. And independent angiotensin 2 production happens when the prorenin receptor gets attached to its ligand. And there also, it goes for the production of this transcription growth factor, the plasminogen activator inhibitors, and all this. And this is all is leading to the nephropathy, retinopathy of the diabetes, the fibrosis and inflammation of cardiac and vascular tissue that we generally see upon a heart failure or a ischemic heart disease or in a hypertensive patient. Okay. So with all this discussion, the things we have known, the one take-home message is we need to know that overactivity of renin-angiotensin renin-angiotensin system via such signaling contribute to a pathological change and an end organ damage. And what are those end organ damage that we generally find? They are basically, be it a hypertensive, vascular or ventricular hypertrophy, the RAS is getting into play, be it a post-infarct myocardial fibrosis and remodeling, there also RAS is the culprit, be it a remodeling in heart failure, we have found effective if we stop the RAS, diabetic nephropathy and diabetic retinopathy. All are being regulated by an overactivity of RAS. So now we have talked about the angiotensin, the receptors, the renin and everything. Now how this would be acting? Angiotensin 2 has been formed. We have talked about renin. We have talked about how renin is being modulated. We have talked about a prorenin, which was till date thought as a inert material, but right now with all this having a array of pathophysiological presentations, and now we would be talking about how this angiotensin 2 actually goes into play. It is only just a release. After its release, it gets attached to two receptors, that is AT1 and AT2. You are generally asked about how many types of receptors do angiotensin 2 or angiotensin have. Apart from angiotensin 1 and angiotensin 2, we have 3 and 4 also, but mainly the angiotensin 1 and angiotensin 2 has been studied elaborately. So what are the things or the salient point? We have to keep in mind angiotensin 1 and 2, though they go from the same family, but they act in an opposite way. They are counterbalancing each other. If angiotensin 1 is causing a vasoconstriction, angiotensin 2 has got a vasodilatation property. If angiotensin 1 goes for an aldosterone release, vasopressin release, angiotensin 2 has got an antidiuretic effect. If angiotensin 1 works for oxidative stress, so if we think about this, looking at where electrical changes we are finding in a cardiovascular system problems. And AT2, while on the other hand, is working as a savior and trying to regenerate or to reinstate the same thing once more. Now, after angiotensin 2 gets attached to the angiotensin 1, it works on the GQ type of, it is a G protein coupled receptor. So it acts on the GQ type of membrane transducer system. This GQ, once getting attached to its ligand, then it is activating the PLC, that is the phospholipase C. This phospholipase, it dephosphorylate the PIP2 to IP3, inositol phosphate and diacylglycerol. This IP3, as you all know, is responsible for more and more calcium to be getting inside the cell. And also, this would be increasing the calcium released by the sarcoplasmic reticulum inside the cell. And all this increased calcium would be leading to contraction via acting through myosin light chain kinase. This is a gross thing that you all know. This how PIP2 would be acting, would be changing upon IP3 and DAG, and IP3 and DAG would be increasing the calcium, and this calcium, when it gets increased, it would be causing contraction. So contraction in the level of, yes, in the heart, it would be causing an ionotropic action. It would be causing as a chronotropic action. But this mechanism is very small detected. In the vascular system, it causes a vascular contraction, and in it also, this calcium, increase in calcium is also responsible for aldosterone synthesis, aldosterone secretion. So now let's talk about the cardiovascular actions of angiotensin. There are many such actions, but the most common and the most prominent, or the what we would be dealing right now, would be the cardiovascular actions. Okay, to be in a very, it has got an array of actions, but to make or to compile it, we have compiled it in a three-way. That is a rapid pressure response, a slow pressure response, and a vascular and a cardiac hypertrophy and remodeling. We would be taking one by one, and we will be talking about how blood pressure is being dealt by angiotensin 2. If I inject angiotensin 2 parenterally in a very rapid jet, what the blood pressure would be happening? The blood pressure would have a sharp rise followed by an immediate fall, or better to say immediate normalization. Why? Because angiotensin 2 would be increasing the blood pressure by a rapid pressure response. And why it is falling? Because its T half is only 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. So this is the whole thing. Now first we would be talking about the rapid pressure response. This rapid pressure response, if I talk about, যদি বাংলা ভাষায় বলি যে একটা জিনিস যেটা র্যাপিড প্রেসার রেসপন্সের পেছনে responsible, that is altered peripheral resistance. The immediate increase in pressure was due to the increased peripheral resistance, or increased total peripheral TPR, total peripheral resistance. And how this peripheral resistance is being acted upon? It is not simply like the arteries get vasoconstricted once I just inject an angiotensin 2. There also many mechanisms are acting to play. One is obviously a direct vasoconstriction mechanism, but the second one is a enhancement of the peripheral noradrenergic neurotransmission. And there are increased sympathetic discharge. And this increased sympathetic discharge would be liberating more and more adrenaline, more and more noradrenaline, that would be adding upon the vasopressor action of the angiotensin 2. And that would be leading to an immediate pressure response. Moreover, the catecholamine release from the adrenal medulla, which also is, catecholamines means it also is getting released, adrenaline is released, noradrenaline released, and that is causing a rapid pressure response. So as I have said, blood pressure rises in seconds and normalizes in minutes. Moreover, there is swift increase in total peripheral resistance. Now, why it is so? Because the body needs, this is one type of mechanism, or a defending mechanism, where a body prepares itself in case of a hypotensive challenge. Think a patient is having a road traffic accident. A severe blood loss has taken place. How the body would be trying to manage that thing? Immediately, the first thing that the body would be doing is a increased pressure. And this pressure is done by angiotensin 2. And along with angiotensin 2, it simultaneously increases the adrenaline and noradrenaline, increases the aldosterone and everything, and thus the body tries to rectify the altered or the hypotensive challenge that has been faced. In this regard, if we talk about a cardiac output, Yes, there are changes in the cardiac output. If we talk about noradrenaline dawa holo, adrenaline dawa holo, okay, pressure is increased both via the total peripheral resistance and the cardiac output. আমরা এটা জানি যে আমরা যদি একটা adrenaline inject করি or noradrenaline দিই, then the total peripheral resistance is increased and also parallelly the cardiac output is also increased. And then with such an increase, there is a vasopressor response which would be followed by a bradycardia. Eta amra jani. But this bradycardia changes is not there in a angiotensin. There are slight changes, but that changes contributes very little, and there is a very little for this rapid pressure response. So let's take the next one, that is the slow pressure response. Okay. This slow pressure response is basically due to an altered renal function. It is not due to peripheral resistance, it is due to an altered renal function. Okay, how it is? Jodi amra constantly slow amount angiotensin 2 dite thaki, it has been seen that the blood pressure increases gradually with the maximum effect achieved in days, and it stays over there. Rapid er moto noy, amra inject korlam and immediate rise korlo and immediate fall korlo. Slow pressure response is not like that. Blood pressure is gradually increasing with a maximum effect that is achieved in days. And since it is gradual, so peripheral resistance has nothing to do with slow pressure response. Here the kidney is actually coming to play. This type of mechanism, it is helping to stabilize the arterial BP over the long time. This is generally happening in when the renal pressure and the natriuresis curve shift to the right. This pressure, renal pressure or pressure natriuresis curve is basically the curve where x-axis and y-axis depict the sodium excretion along with the arterial pressure. So there is a shift of renal pressure and natriuresis curve to the right. Moreover, the angiotensin 2 stimulate the synthesis of endothelin 1 and superoxide ions, which is also going for a slow pressure response of increase of the blood pressure. Now, if we are talking about a renal, then we need to know how angiotensin 2 is acting upon glomerular filtration rate. In the first chance, if I ask you, it would have been a class. If I ask you, how angiotensin 2 GFR er opore kaj kiভাবে করে, I am sure you would be saying angiotensin 2 would be causing a decrease in GFR. Why? Because angiotensin is a vasoconstrictor. Ma'am, apni to bollen, ota vasoconstrictor. So that would be decreasing the glomerular filtration rate. Yes, that is one. But accordingly, it is also increasing the GFR also. Now how? Now first, let's see how it is decreasing the GFR. Yes, it would be constricting the afferent arterioles, and thus it would be reducing the intraglomerular pressure. True? And it would be reducing the glomerular filtration rate. To have a good glomerular filtration, but to have a average amount of glomerular, normally, ki thake, the afferent arteriole, the diameter of afferent arteriole is much more than that of the efferent arteriole. Until and unless a pressure is created on the glomerular vessels, the glomerular filtration rate won't be possible to be maintained. For this reason, the efferent arteriole diameter is smaller than that of the afferent arterioles. But if angiotensin 2 is going into play, then it constricts the afferent arterioles also. And now what? Now the afferent and the efferent arterioles both are are getting constricted and the diameter is small. So would the pressure, intraglomerular pressure would be built up? No, it won't be built up. So the glomerular filtration rate decreases. And what next? The next one is contraction of the mesangial cells. As we have said, calcium is getting released, IP3 and DAG, and this leads to contraction of the mesangial cells in the kidney. And that decreases the capillary surface area for filtration. The more and more decrease in the surface area, the lesser the glomerular filtration rate. Okay? Okay. And how glomerular filtration would be increased? There are conditions where a constriction of the efferent arteriole normalizes to a normal picture and thus increases the intraglomerular pressure. So if I ask you how angiotensin 2, but what angiotensin 2 does on the glomerular filtration rate, the answer would be it either decreases or increases the glomerular filtration rate according to the body physiology, right? Now, if I block the renin-angiotensin system, we need to know it causes acute renal failure. That's why the drugs that block this renin-angiotensin system are not given in patients who have got a bilateral renal artery stenosis or a single artery renal stenosis, have patients with single artery renal stenosis having a single kidney. Tomader eta questions ashe? Explain why angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors are not prescribed in a bilateral renal artery stenosis patients. আমরা এটা পরে আরো ডিটেইলসে কেন হচ্ছে না আমরা জানবো, বাট টিল নাও কোশ্চেনটা তোমরা জেনে রেখো। ওকে, now next we talk about the altered cardiovascular structure. ধরো লং টার্ম কারো হাইপারটেনশন হয়েছে বা একটা হার্ট ফেলিয়ারের পেশেন্ট, ক্রনিক্যালি উই অল নো কিছু প্যাথোলজিক্যাল চেঞ্জেস হয়, be it in the blood vessels or be it in the heart, right? So this is আগে এটা জানা ছিল না, but right now angiotensin 2 has been found as the main culprit of this altered cardiovascular structure. How it is doing this thing? It is going via some non-hemodynamic effects. How? It stimulates the migration, proliferation and hypertrophy of the vascular smooth muscle cells. It also increases the extracellular matrix production by cardiac fibroblast and also the vascular smooth muscles. And thus it causes a hypertrophy of the cardiac myocytes. মোট কথা তোমরা এইটুকু বুঝবে যে there is a stimulation of migration, proliferation and hypertrophy. And all these stimulation of the cell growth factors would be causing a change in the pathology of the heart and the vascular structure, which is হার্টেরটা যেমন আমরা খুব ভালোভাবে জানি term which is being very much acceptable, that is remodeling of the heart. And we generally sought for drugs in congestive heart failure where the drugs have really a beneficial effect on a cardiac remodeling. Okay. Now you people are seeing a heart which has been transected cross-sectionally. Okay. This is right ventricle, this is septum, and this is left ventricle. This is if the patient is having a normal blood pressure, the subject is having a normal blood pressure. But gradually, the subject is going through a hypertensive crisis. When there is a hypertensive crisis, there is adaptive left ventricular hypertrophy. Why? Because the myocyte thickens, the extracellular matrix and left ventricular wall all gets hypertrophied. Why? Because the arterial pressure is high. The total peripheral resistance is getting high. The heart has to pump against a greater resistance. if the afterload is high, the work done by the heart would be more. কোনো একটা increased resistance এর against এ যদি তোমাকে ঠেলতে হয় তাহলে তোমার কি হবে? The muscles would be acting more, would be trying to contract. অনেক তো জিম যাও, জিমে অনেক দিন ধরে রেজিস্ট্যান্স এর এগুলো করলে hypertrophy of the biceps হয় না? biceps ফলে তো the same thing happens with the heart. The myocytes also gets hypertrophy. This hypertrophy, what it is leading? It is leading the chamber of the left ventricle is gradually getting decreased. And now what? When it is gradually getting decreased, the preload is also getting increased. যতটা blood আসার কথা left ventricle এ ততটা আসছে না, তাই তো? তো gradually এটাকে যখন করতে যাওয়া হচ্ছে, more and more blood is coming out, then there is a maladaptive right ventricular hypertrophy consistent way তে যদি এটা থেকে থাকে. Okay, so this chronic changes in the pathophysiology or the pathology of the heart is called as remodeling, and angiotensin plays an important role in the change in the pathology of this heart. With this all idea, we would be taking upon the drugs that are actually acting upon the renin-angiotensin system. এই অবধি থাক আজকে।
ঠিক আছে ম্যাম।
আচ্ছা,
ম্যাম, ঠিক
বুধবার
আছে।
দিন আমাকে ক্লাস দিতে পারবে?
বুধবার দিন, আচ্ছা ম্যাম, ঠিক আছে।
কটা থেকে? একটা?
সেম একটা থেকে করুন।
একটা থেকে, ওকে।
হ্যাঁ,
We would be
ঠিক আছে।
talking about the last portion. drugs গুলো নিয়ে আমরা end up করব। Hope you people এই জায়গাটা পড়ো, pathophysiology টা until and unless you read this pathophysiology of renin-angiotensin system, you cannot understand the drugs and how they are acting upon. Okay, so I would be taking the next class on Wednesday, and we would be talking about the drugs on renin-angiotensin system. Thank you. তোমরা সব